Hello everyone, welcome to my workshop. My name is Brent Arnold. I am 16 and I have decided that I would like to start a woodworking channel. I am going to be doing wood turning, woodworking, carving, and many other different types of projects. Today's project is a Keychain Lightsaber. This is I made this one out of maple and rosewood, and I got the hardware kit from Craft Supplies USA. And I learned how to do this at the Utah Woodturning Symposium this year. So, if you'd like to learn how to do this, stick around and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so I've moved over to my vise, and what I will be doing next is taking this piece of wood here that I've drilled a hole in. It's a 7mm hole, and then glued a brass tube inside of it. So what I'll be doing next is taking it and putting it in my vise. And then using my barrel trimmer in my drill to flatten off the tops. This is very similar to how you would do a pen, if you've ever done one. So you just want to trim it so that way you can see the brass, you want to make sure that the brass is flush with the top of the wood. So again, I'll go on the other side and do the exact same thing. Okay, so what I've done is I've trimmed the ends, and now I've mounted this on my pen mandrel. This is going to be the handle of our lightsaber. So I'm just going to, this doesn't have to have a specific shape, you can do whatever you want. So what you're going to do first is just round it, take it down to round, and then just do whatever shape you want. It can be really intricate or just really plain. So I'm going to take this down and we'll go to that point. I'm turning this at about 2,000 RPM. I'm going to take my spindle gouge, drop the tool rest tight just a little bit, and tighten the tailstock just a tiny bit. Getting pretty close here. Take a little bit more. Get a little bit over here. Okay, so I've taken this down to round, and so now what I'm going to do is just shape the handle the way I want it. Again, there's not really any specific shape you need to. If you want to look at pictures from movies, you can to get an idea of what you want. But I'm just going to go with this here, and I'm just going to go ahead and design something here. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pyramid tool, or point tool as it's also known. This is just a 1/4 inch round bar of high-speed steel. It's been sharpened to a point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here and add some little details just to give it some grit. Okay, I'm going to go back to my spindle gouge now. I'm actually just going to take the top, just barely take the tops off of these here. Just to make that a little thinner. Add some other little details here, just put some coves in it. Go back to my point tool and make some of these lines a little bigger. Okay, so what I've done here is I have taken the piece and I have burned in some lines after I used my point tool. I took a wire and burned in some lines in the slots that I had made. And then I took sandpaper and sanded this through 600 grit, and then I used a 4/0 steel wool pad and sanded it again with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some friction polish and put 1 or 2 coats of that on this piece here. Okay, so this is the friction polish that I use. This is a Hut Crystal Coat. Just be sure to shake it up before you use it. I'm just going to use this little cloth here and apply some of this to the cloth. And then I'm going to wipe this on to the piece. Be sure to get it in all the little cracks inside of the piece, on all the surfaces. And then turn on the lathe and turn it up to about 1,000 RPM. And just take a dry portion of the cloth and rub it back and forth on the piece until it starts to heat up. Once it's heat up, then you know it's cured, and then you can do another coat if you want to, or you can just leave it at 1 coat. I think I'm just going to do 1 coat on this piece here. Okay, and now I've got a very nice low gloss sheen on this. Okay, so what I have here is a piece of rosewood. You could use another piece of plain wood or another piece that has a different color to it. This is going to be the blade of our lightsaber. So I'm just going to cut this to the length that I want, and then mount it up in my lathe, and we'll turn it. Another way you could do this if you wanted it to have color is you could turn the piece to whatever you want and then dye it, or I've heard you can soak in food coloring overnight. So those are other options if you wanted to do it that way. So I'm going to cut this up and then I'll mount it on the lathe. Okay, so I've marked this off at about 3 inches, just to give me a little bit of space for holding it when I turn it. So I'm just going to take my table saw sled here, hold it tight against the back, and then go ahead and cut it. Always remember to wear your hearing and eye protection, especially when you're using the table saw. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I have the piece of rosewood chucked up into my lathe, so now I'm just going to take it down to round very carefully, and then just all I'm going to do is give it just a straight profile and then round it over at the end. And you want to take it down, take the end down here so it's the same diameter as the inside of your brass tube. So you can use a pair of calipers or just keep test fitting it. So you just want to make sure that this end fits in snugly, and then you can just glue it in. Again, I'm just going to take my spindle gouge and just come in here and just barely take off the corners. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken the piece down to round, and then I put a tenon on it that is the same size as the inside of the brass tube that's in our handle. So you want it to get you don't want it to be loose, but you just want it to fit right over it, so that way you have a little bit of room for the glue up when you glue it in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of this down to just slightly larger than this, and then sand it, and then we'll take it off the lathe and glue it into the piece, and I'll show you how to put it all together. Okay, so now that I've got it down to a consistent thickness and the tenon fits, I am going to go ahead and sand it, and then I am going to show you how to cut it off at the end over here. So now that I've got this sanded and everything fits right, I'm going to take my 1/4 inch round skew, and I'm just going to come in over on this end here and just slowly take it down until it cuts all the way through. I'm just going to leave a little bit, pull the tailstock off, and then finish the cut. I'm just going to make it so that the end of this piece here Okay, so we got most of that. One thing I just remembered that we need to do is put some friction polish on this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay. So now that I got that on there, I'm just going to take my skew again and just finish off that one little end there. And then we can put it together. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to put all these pieces together real quick. I use the Artisan Keyring Kit from Craft Supplies USA. This piece is going to go into the end here, so I'll just use a clamp and clamp that in, and it'll stay, and then we're going to glue this in, and it'll be done. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, here it is. This is the completed lightsaber keychain. It's about 4 inches long. I made it out of
wormy maple, and rosewood. And then I got the hardware kit from Craft Supplies USA. Thank you so much for everybody for watching this video. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.